Alright guys, it's RSC here, Life on Two Wheels. Don't get me confused with RSC, Life in High Heels. I want to talk about passengers. Having a passenger, what to expect and what you should do, I think. So, when I have a passenger, the first thing is I make sure my brakes are good. That's the first thing. Your brakes suck, or they're not maintained, or they're anything. And they can't stop you alone, like sufficiently, like good stop, then you're not going to stop the two people. So make sure your brakes are good. Second of all, your tires, are the tread gone? Is there any bulges, anything like that? Everything's, make sure your bike's basically up to snuff. Now, big thing is the tire pressure. If you have low tire pressure, the bike's harder to control. If you ride these, if not, if this tire pressure is really low, they go down to 5 psi. These tires are up to 30 psi. So if they're down to, like, say you rode at 7 psi or 5 psi in the asphalt in the summer on a hot day, and your fork's unlocked, your bike, it's a harder to steer kind of deal. So especially you add a passenger on there, because you're going forward, pushing your weight forward, and you have them. So your frame, if you can see the frame here, how it's kind of level, that also, so when that's level, and then it will dip, and then that brings the pedals down lower too, which you're going to be closer to hitting stuff on the ground, or catching debris or whatever. So what I tend to do is keep my tire pressure around 15 psi, and with the passenger, and I keep my forks up in the locked position. Now, if you have it in the locked position, you can't. You're not going to. Your pedal's not going to get as close to the ground. Your bike won't lunge forward, but you can see your frame stays fairly level compared to it dipping forward, because when it dips forward, that means you're putting even more weight on the handlebars, which is at the front, which it's just not great. It makes for a crappy ride then. So your handlebars, you might have to move forward a bit depending. And if your passenger, if you're not used to it, and your passenger's not used to it, or one is, go to like an empty parking lot, like a church, say, and go test it out and see with them on it and how they are, and just remember, like, you can wash out and stuff on the gravel. Like, just kind of, and braking takes longer. Also, getting up to speed takes way longer, right? Like, you're another person to this. So another thing with them is that I find is, so when the passenger's on the bike, the passenger is going to be what makes the ride or breaks the ride, basically. Because if you have a passenger who's scared, and scared passengers usually lock onto you and they go stiff, and it's like you're trying to move or pedal or maneuver the bike around, and they're stiff, and it's just it's literally like you're fighting this heavy weight on the back then, because it's kind of weight tipping back and forth. So if you can get them comfortable and you be comfortable as well, you can, like, if they have their legs out like this, further out, it's fine. It actually kind of helps balance the bike, I find. But it's the passenger, and if you're a passenger watching this, just kind of listen here. You want to be relaxed. Your hips, and you don't want to clench your ass muscles in your hips and be locked up. Like, you want to be loose and fluid. Be fluid with the bike and the driver. So instead of the bike moving, you're going like that. You're gonna be, your hips, if they're fluid, the bike ride's gonna be so much better. It's gonna be easier for driver of it and for you, and it's going to be more comfortable and enjoyable when you're used to it. The other thing is, like I said, a lot of it relies on the passenger. If you're a passenger, you need to pay attention, 100%. You can't be off in la la land like, hey, purple squirrel. You know, if you're doing that and not paying attention, then that's when things can happen. And holding the driver of the bike, don't wrap your arms around them like this. That's what naturally, I don't know why a lot of people do. They sit there and wrap like that. Well, if you do that and say the driver grabs those front brakes, has to stop quick or whatever, it's quick reaction, when he grabs those brakes and it goes forward, you going holding like this are going to go like that, and you're going to push him to me now, the driver, and he's already got the pressure going on, especially if his forks are unlocked and stuff, and now all of a sudden you got that body weight plus momentum going like that, and now you put it's a sequence of bad events is what could happen there if it works out badly. So if you actually hold the person so if the passenger holds the driver of the bike's hips like right there, so if I'm driving, the passenger's hands would be kind of right there, and it doesn't have to be tight or in here, but then you're moving both of you can move fluid. It's not, you're not this rigid fighting each other kind of thing. And the good thing with that is if the passenger holds like that, they can stop themselves from falling off backwards and forwards. They can stop all their body weight just by that because they're using your thumbs and your fingers. And like I said, you're not doing tight. And I know there's people that are different sizes and it might be harder for some, but it is important that pay attention so you know what's coming up and being aware of what's, like if something did happen, a car came flying, it's stuff to react to. Now, at the same time, I'm not saying take your freaking thumbs and jam them as hard as you can into the driver's kidneys or whatever it is, like, you know, that you don't want to bruise them and hurt them, like, unless you're really pissed off at them, I guess you could, like, you take you out for supper or get you a card or something for your Valentine's, whatever. But that's important to do. And another really important thing to better ride for you, it's better for the driver and it's better for the bike, is when you have your feet on these pegs and say you're coming up to an arch at a bridge and then where a bridge transitions from gravel over, or say trails to a road, or like coming off a parking lot, there'll be like a little bump from the transition from the cut curb. So instead of you, the passenger, just going over the bump but not doing anything about it, basically your body weight, you hit it, you're not doing anything, like you're just compressing everything. If you do that, it's gonna hurt your back, hurt your butt. It's hard on the bike. It just makes for like a really crappy ride. So when you're coming up to that, and if your driver's, just say you'd be like, if you're the driver, you just tell the person bump coming up or bump coming up, and then if they didn't see it, when they say that, you don't have to lift your butt, the passenger. You don't have to get it right up in the air because then you're going to make it uneasy. Just, you want to take your feet and just take the bit of weight. Not lift your butt, just right before the bump and then until after you just pass it, you're just going to go, just take weight off and then you go over like that instead of like a big bounce. And that is huge because there's a lot of weight and pressure there on the tires and everything. And to do those small things makes the ride better, safer, and just all around better experience for you. Another thing is you get the back wrap with these that come off on the new models as well. And these OG blades, they have it come over here and out. So you might think, oh, okay, I'm going to throw a pillow on there, and then my passenger can just sit back here on top of the rack, kind of, and be, you know, back here. It gives you room, which, you know, seems like a great idea, and it would be, but it doesn't work that way. The problem is, and the reasoning is, your butt's here, and you straight down, basically, or just, actually on these bikes it's tucked in. Here's your axle. So what that creates then is a tip point. If you're way out here in your weight, the bike, they can get loose or light. Like, so if you're riding, if you had a whole bunch of weight way out, you're not supposed to either. But if you did put a whole bunch of weight out there, it can and it will get light. Like if you throw a case of pints on there, it gets light. And even like someone with a knapsack, if you have a heavy knapsack on someone, on the passenger, and it's moving around, if they can't keep that going, like positioned and kind of, you know, under control, then their body kind of sways, can make for ride. So it takes time. You gotta get used to it. You're gonna find things that work for you, things that won't. But just getting on and off even is, so the passenger. So I usually get on first, stabilize the bike, and the passenger gets on, curls it back, like just swings your leg over. But here's the kicker. Say you're going for a picnic, and you have your back rack on with a little cooler and stuff, and then your passenger and then you. Well, the passenger can't get over the cooler. Well, mine can't, and so it's kind of hard because then if you're on the bike, now they gotta get through there. So I just usually grab the bike, I'll hold it. Person gets on. If there's like if the back rack's on with something, and which is very little, and then I'll hold the bike, and they get on, or I'll go like this, and go straight to the front, let them get on, and then they can get in position because I can hold the bike, and then we go. So just little things to think of, you know, that can make your ride better and safer. Remember, like your starts and your stops are slower. You know, your bike's not going to handle the same, obviously. You're way more weight, and just take your time to learn it. And you know, it's better to be safer than sorry, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. And I want everyone to be safe, so don't ruin the C-bike stuff for us, I guess. I don't want to do it. So anyways, thanks for watching. Keep around two wheels. Take care, guys. Bye.